Hi everyone, this is Dr. Alison DiBarto Goggin with Little Black Bag Medicine, and tonight I wanted to have a class about headaches, some common reasons why we get headaches, some uncommon reasons why we get headaches, and some solutions that I use in my practice to help people manage and also eliminate headaches. In Western medicine and really any type of medicine that isn't asking the question why are you getting these headaches, that is where our problem is. Because even in chiropractic, like, we all get headaches now and then, right? And in chiropractic we treat tons of headaches. So many people come in, chiropractic successfully treats headaches and migraines, and the most common reason for those types of headaches is because it's structural. There is joint issues and muscle issues causing tension, joint dysfunction, nerve dysfunction, inflammation even, that's causing those headaches. So when chiropractic is able to address that root cause, or even massage therapy, muscle techniques, that is amazing and phenomenal. And I always try to start my headache clients at a chiropractor, because it does take a while to get that inflammation down. So we do that nutritionally, we do that with oils, we do that with exercise, but we can also do that with adjustments and massages. And that's a huge part of how our body is healing. And we want that inflammation to get down. Chiropractic is an excellent way to start working on your headaches. So the issue then becomes is if you are getting chiropractic treatment or muscle treatment or some type of structural treatment for your body and those headaches aren't resolving, we then have to look at the deeper question of where are the headaches coming from. Because especially in Western medicine, we don't ask those questions often, which is why I was led to functional medicine, because we're giving these blanket answers. Oh, okay, you have migraines, you take this medications. You have cluster headaches, you take this kind of medication. You have tension headaches, you get this medication. So we have to really ask, why are we having headaches? And sometimes we know the cause, and it's really easy. Like, you had a whole bottle of wine last night and you know you shouldn't have, or a certain type of food triggers it. But then we have to ask, why is that triggering it? Is it because of gut issues? Is it because of dysbiosis? There's so many things that we can look at that we could actually heal those deeper core issues, so we can heal our whole body, heal our whole life. So tonight I want to go through really specifically more about migraines, but this also applies to headaches. The top 7 related causes, some different types of testing that we can do to see where that core issue is hiding, and then some different solutions and options that we have to manage the pain. So let's start with genetics is actually number 1 on the list. It's really common for people to come in and say, well, my mom has headaches, my dad has headaches, everybody in the family has headaches. And so genetics is a really important key into it. There's a number of genes that we can look at, including the MTHFR gene, and that is more common in headaches without the aura, where you have that halo of light and pain. But genetics is really common. So with that, we do have to manage the pain more. But if we can see which gene is having an issue and work nutrition around that, that's so much easier. And it also explains why, if you're getting headaches and chiropractic isn't working or medication isn't working, it's deeper seated than that. So the next theory, which was actually disproven through MRI use, is the vascular theory of migraines, where we thought that there was a dilation of blood vessels going on in the brain, which is most common because people say, oh, I just need some caffeine, I'll go get a soda, and my headache will go away. So if you find that's working for you, that probably means that it's more of a blood sugar imbalance than it is you changing the dilation of your blood vessels. So I thought that was really interesting too. The next theory is called the threshold theory, and what that means is that our body is constantly fighting threats from the environment, from internal threats, changes in our physiology, our mood, our neurotransmitters, and there becomes this line essentially of we're okay, and then something just kind of pushes you over the edge and literally over that threshold to where the headache will occur. One of the common themes in all of these issues is mitochondria dysfunction. So the mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, and when they're not functioning right, we're actually finding all of this amazing research that our entire body starts to shut down, our genetics start to shut down, inflammation goes up, and the mitochondria have been linked to all these different situations. So knowing that we have to work with the body on a cellular level and not just focusing on the environmental triggers or the outside stuff. So the threshold theory is one reason that we get headaches. Now, triggers and mediators are another huge part of migraines and headaches, because we have stress, we have hormones, we have eating, we have not eating, we have sleeping, we have not sleeping, we have weather disturbances, specific odors, or especially chemical fragrances can trigger people like crazy, which is why I love the essential oils that we use, because they're not, I have so many people who are not triggered by essential oils, even though they are by fragrances, because it's that chemical issues. Neck pain can trigger, lights, alcohol, smoke, heat, food, and different types of activities. I love you too, buddy. So this is the third time I've started this video, because I thought my husband would be home tonight, but he has a friend in town and they went out, so Jakey is coming in and out. So I'm really sorry, but we're going to power through this, and I'm going to have a headache later from the stress and the tension of him coming in. So we're going to go through all of that. But with the triggers, so what that actually does is, if we have a normal threshold, those triggers actually lower that threshold, so we're more easily triggered to get headaches over time. So that is another common issue with headaches. And then once that threshold is released, the next theory is that there's a cortical spreading depression. And so what that really means is that the brain starts getting hit by these waves of neurotransmitters and chemicals. And the first one is just, it totally excites the entire brain and all the nerves, and that's where those lights and the blinding flashes and the sensitivity comes from, because the brain is like, whoa, on like high power. And then this wave of depression, which means not mood depression necessarily, but think of the opposite of excitability with suppression. And then that's when that migraine comes in, and that's not something that we can necessarily treat, which is why migraines are so difficult to treat. And if you can get to the migraine during that excitability phase, it will actually stop that spreading of the suppression or depression of the brain, which is, I thought, was also very, very interesting. Trigeminal nerve activation, which is really common in people who have jaw issues, dental issues, facial pain, is another issue with that. And serotonin is another common trigger, mediator, cause of migraines. So if they're on SSRIs, if you have some type of depression of creating serotonin, or the receptors aren't functioning correctly, or your gut isn't functioning properly and making the right amounts of serotonin and keeping those neurotransmitters balanced in your gut, then that's going to imbalance your brain. And remember that we have the same amount, if not more, of our neurotransmitters in our gut as we do in our brain. So all of the chemicals that our brain makes are also made in the gut. So the gut will actually mirror the brain, and the brain will actually mirror the gut. So if you're having serotonin-induced headaches, then that probably means it's also happening in the gut. There's another calcitonin-related peptide, which is a vasodilator, and there's a number of issues there. And so why I bring all those things together is because, well, which one is it? How do we know? How, every class I teach is like, well, here's the 1,800 things that causes this specific issue. How do we pull that out? How do we figure out which one it is? So the first way is your medical history. You go through, you write down, what are you eating? When are you having headaches? What's triggering it? How long are they lasting? How often are they grouped together? And really tracking that will start to give you a good overall picture of what's going on with your body. You can do an MRI, you can do an x-ray to check the structure of the neck to see if the neck is involved and the nerves in the neck are involved. You could do CT scans. So, I mean, and then those are basic things that don't really give us a lot of information outside of the structural issues. So the other testing that we can do is the genetic testing for the MTHFR gene, which is very simple. There's the food panels, which are incredibly important. There's IgG and IgE food panels, so that's a blood test to see which foods your body is sensitive to, because you may be being triggered by food and you don't even know it. I always get this mixed up, so forgive me with this one. IgG foods react. One of them, okay, there's IgG and IgE. So one of them you feel immediately. So like we have pizza for dinner, my heart starts racing, I feel really tired, mouth gets real dry, a little headache comes on. You know, when you eat food that's not really good for you, you feel lethargic, I want to go take a nap. That's an immediate immune response and your body's shutting down because of a specific food. Now the other one is more delayed. So you eat the food and you're like, I feel fine. But what's actually happening internally is that there's a storm of inflammation and a storm of immune activity. Now you can't feel it. You can't say it like, oh, my shoulder hurts, oh, my gut hurts because that piece of corn is actually completely delayed. And over time and months, that inflammation builds up. So it's a sneaky type of food sensitivity, which is why I like to do the blood test for so many people who are having these types of headaches, because you might not be reacting right away. So maybe you're eating something, but 6 hours later getting a headache because it took that time for that inflammation to build up. So that's one reason we do the food panels. We do vitamin D testing. We do red blood cell, folate, and magnesium, which is just a couple other things that are possible. So what is the functional medicine approach for managing these types of issues? So different foods can trigger migraines, which is why we do the testing. I always typically prefer to do the testing before doing the elimination diet because, again, that delayed sensitivity you may or may not know. Most people hate elimination diets. I would be the first to agree with that. But I do think eliminating foods that you know are not going to be healthy for you, like gluten, dairy, soy, those major triggers, aspartame, artificial sweeteners, getting all of those things out, I would consider it an elimination diet. And then doing a liver detoxification protocol will also be helpful because your liver is going to hoard onto those toxins and just keep triggering you over and over and over again. Again, with diet, you want to make sure that you get enough protein. This is weight in kilograms times 0.8 plus 60. So again, that's weight in kilograms times 0.8 plus 60 is how much grams of protein you should be getting. Some people do half their body weight and protein, which is just fine too. Weaning yourself off of proton pump inhibitors can be especially important because it totally blocks your body's ability to absorb nutrition. And if you're not getting the right foods and your body is inflamed, inflammation is a trigger, and we're just going to keep coming back to that. So getting your digestion on point with foods, sometimes you need a natural supplement like a digestive enzyme to help break down the food so it's not causing those immune inflammation reactions, so you're not getting triggered. And melatonin is actually something else that would really help. Before I give melatonin, because I only like to do that in rare occasions, but I wrote it down because it is something that can help balance out the brain. So my rule with melatonin is I always want to test for it. I do a saliva test. It's a 1-day hormone check, and it checks your melatonin throughout the day to make sure it's within good levels and get a good baseline on that. And then I typically only use melatonin for 2 weeks because it is a hormone. Your brain can become dependent on it. And a lot of people actually have issues with melatonin. Baby Jake, he gets some crazy sleepwalking going if he takes melatonin. So we have to be very careful. It's not something that I whip off like, oh, go get melatonin, you'll be fine. No, we have to be very, very careful with that. Hydration, of course, is something that we always need to take into consideration. Yes, we have to drink 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water a day, but really that's not specific enough. So we want you to actually drink your body weight, half of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water. So that's a lot more than 64 ounces, but that's going to be specific to your physiology. And my notes say, is it the Tylenol or is it the water that helps? So if you drink a whole glass of water and your headache goes away, well, maybe it is a hydration issue. Okay, I'm not going to go through my case with that. When it comes down to exercise, exercise can actually be very helpful for headaches and migraines. Not during, obviously, but between situations. To take it slow. I usually do exercise recommendations based off of blood type, but with migraine sufferers, you definitely don't want to do strenuous activity. You definitely need to get your neck and your shoulder posture checked out. I refer to a chiropractor in Chesterfield, and then I also have a personal trainer in Chesterfield, Missouri, who does functional exams to see how you're moving, because I know I have a lot of neck pain, and what was really cool is that she tested me and she said my motion in my neck is great because I'm very flexible, I get adjusted, everything's great. It's an issue, I think she called it a tissue issue, where everything is too tight. And my posture is really bad, of course, with my neck. So she's helping me get more aligned. So it's so important still to, when you're going into an exercise program, knowing that you're having neck and shoulder pain and migraines or headaches that could be triggered by exercise, that you get evaluated to see what your posture is like, to see how your neck is functioning and your shoulder, really your entire body, because if you're using your low back to work out and you're straining your neck, or you're doing ab exercises and you're straining your shoulders, and that's going to trigger something for you. So if you would like her information, her name is Whitney Roberts at R3 in Chesterfield. Phenomenal. Go get checked out. Message me, I'll get you her info. And exercise actually helps all 7 imbalances that we talked to, all the way from genetics to the triggers, to the inflammation, to the nerves, and it also stimulates mitochondrial production. So when we're talking about the mitochondria being this like whole new base of disease and inflammation, exercise will actually help mediate that for us. Of course, working on sleep is really important. Sleeping in a dark room, there's no TVs. The blue light at night is really going to be a trigger for so many people. So getting the TVs out of your room, turning off your phone, turning off the iPads, the screens, some people say 30 minutes, some people say 2 hours, but the more you can get that down, the better. You can buy blue light blocker glasses, which are really cool, from Amazon for $10, which will get rid of that blue light that emanates from our phones and screens that actually do affect our melatonin production. So don't go run out and buy melatonin when you could just fix it by not staring at your screen before you go to bed and affecting your melatonin production. The other thing is, a lot of new phones now, and even tablets, iPads, things like that, have a nighttime feature on it. So it will actually take out that blue light, so you can still look at your screen, you can still read on your tablet, things like that, which was really interesting. Okay, well, I have hyperbaric oxygen therapy can be helpful. Magnesium sulfate can be helpful. Trigger point injections can be helpful. However, I prefer a trigger point massage or really precision massage therapy, which is just, again, way more specific and way more functional than getting injections, because you're not going to be able to go in and get injections all the time, and that's not necessarily going to, again, affect the core issue. Some supplements that I commonly use include CoQ10, magnesium, cofactors of methylation, because we want to keep that inflammation down. Some women really do well with progesterone cream, especially if their hormones are mediated, or their headaches are mediated by hormones. Quercetin, probiotics, vitamin D, basically anything that supports the immune system, anything that builds up the gut to really get the inflammation down and get those triggers down. And if you can get the triggers down, then the threshold, that point where that tipping point that's going to tip you over into the migraine, is actually going to go further away. So it's actually going to take more of those triggers to push you over into the edge of a migraine. Whereas right now, if you have a low threshold, you're just going over it all the time. So when you can get rid of those triggers, get rid of the inflammation, that threshold goes up a notch. You're not going to get headaches as often. You're not going to be pushed over that edge a lot either. So butterbur root is a great herb. Feverfew is also great. Anything that really works with the liver is excellent. Mitochondrial support, things like that. I do want to touch a little bit on essential oils. Everyone loves oils for headaches. I like frankincense a little bit on your thumb. Put it far back onto the roof of your mouth and hold that for 30 seconds, as far back as you can get it on the soft palate. It's awesome. Anywhere that it hurts, peppermint, lavender, we have the deep blue rub, is excellent for neck soreness, and you could put it on the front as well. But again, those don't necessarily treat the core issue. So while you're working on the core issue, while you're going to get adjusted and you're getting your trigger point massage and you're working on your inflammation, you're taking your greens, you're taking your supplements, you're supporting every factor in your body, the oils will help you manage, be part of that pain management strategy to move forward. Now, I will say consistent use with frankincense, either under the tongue or on the roof of the mouth, can most likely, and I've seen it long term, support the body enough where you can go further between headaches. You can go longer stretches. That threshold rises. Those neurotransmitters tend to balance themselves out, so you aren't as frequently getting these types of headaches or migraines. So I hope this was helpful for you, a little basic intro into how to look at headaches, the different causes for them, those thresholds for you. And if you have any questions about your triggers or what's causing them, or if you want to look into testing for your hormones to see where your melatonin stands, if you're having hormone PMS headaches, if you're having food sensitivities and you want to see what's causing them, I am here to help you, and I so appreciate you being here tonight. So shoot me a message, let me know what's going on with you, and we will get you taken care of, and enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you next week. Thanks.